Today I was talking with my mom and she shared something that really blessed my heart. And she was telling me about the people that have been coming to her home and what a blessing they have been to her. And she shared with me how God is so provident. So she was telling me, in all these visits that have been happening, we haven't lacked because the people that have been coming have been feeding themselves, and that's how she put it. And she went ahead to share the people who come one day, they bring money, they bring food, and then we have food to cook the next day when the next people come. And all of a sudden it dawned on me that from when I came back from Kenya, I haven't had anything to do with, oh, we have visitors coming, can you help feed them? Because that has been historically, is that mom will call me, will call one of my sisters and say, I have visitors, can you help feed them? And so we do. But this time round, it has been amazing because you hear all the stories of people coming to visit my mom. So many people are coming to see her. And I haven't heard a single word about, can you help out? And a lot of people have been coming to see mom. And it was like, glory be to God for his provisions. And let me tell you something, people. Goodness is contagious. Just like badness is contagious, goodness is so contagious. I'm sure you've heard of the saying that one apple in a sack spoils the rest, or one rotten potato rots all the other potatoes. But let me tell you something. A candle can light up a whole dark building and bring light into that building. And it's the same principle, is that when you have a torch or a flashlight, depending on where you are, and you light it in a very dark room, you can see everything in that room because a small light lights up the entire dark building. And this is what's been happening in my mom's house, is that goodness is spreading. And you know, my mom was so happy. She was full of life. She was smiling, and she was even laughing as we were talking about the goodness of God and how God is so faithful. And for some of you have stood with me through this very difficult time, and many have really prayed with us and for my mom. My mom in 2020 March was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. You all know that's a terminal disease, especially when it's advanced, because when someone has congestive heart failure, the heart doesn't get better. It can be maintained for a long time, but it doesn't get better physically. It keeps deteriorating little by little. So in 2020, my mom was diagnosed with congestive heart failure, which was like, you know, when something happens and you stop, all of a sudden you stop and you pay attention. That's what happened to our family. And since then, my mom has been treated, and 2021 she started being treated by a cardiologist specialist for the heart, and things went well and very well until March of this year, when my mom had a very big episode and was admitted in ICU with a big issue going on concerning her heart. And I started noticing things. As a hospice chaplain and working with people who are diagnosed with terminal diagnosis, you work in that realm for 18 years and you can see signs of other things that are going on. So since March of this year, I started to notice certain things about my mom that were worrisome, and I was trying to talk with the doctors and try to understand. Cut long story short, it came to a place where in July of this year, the doctors said medically there's really nothing else we can do. There's organ issues going on, and we can do our best. There's nothing else we can do. That's the most dreadful news. And I work with many who are in the same position as my mom. I have, as a matter of fact, for the last 18 years. And what I do is provide spiritual counseling, end-of-life counseling, grief counseling. You know, I deal with family dynamics. There's so many things that I deal with as a chaplain. And one of the other services that I provide is funerals. I have officiated in the range of probably around 120 funerals in 18 years that I have officiated. Because when I work with families, providing counseling, providing spiritual care, several families at the end have asked me to be the pastor that is doing the funeral for the family. So that has been my world in the last 18 years. And so when it came to my own, it's different in various ways. But I can tell you one thing. I'm very, very thankful for the experience that I have acquired throughout life, because now I'm putting it into practice for my own. In dealing with terminal diagnosis, it's not easy. Dealing with terminal diagnosis is difficult. But how best do we deal with it? We don't give up. We don't give up. The purpose for hospice, and I'm a hospice worker, the purpose for hospice is not to preach death and doom. The purpose for hospice is to preach life. It's to help patients and families live the best life possible with all the remaining life that God gives them. Whether it's short or long, our goal is to help them live the best life possible with what God gives them. So we don't tell people not to pray for a miracle. We don't tell people not to pray for healing. What we tell people is don't ignore what the doctor said totally, but prepare. As you pray for a miracle and for healing, also prepare, because the way God answers our prayers is not always the way that we are praying. But that doesn't mean that God is not answering our prayers. It means that we need to open our hearts to His will, and it means that we need to be looking around for all the beautiful things that God is doing around us in the process of our journey. So for several years, it has been in my heart, because I have heard many stories of Kenyans, I'm a Kenyan, who at the end of life go through so much. A family member is diagnosed with a terminal disease, and it's actually at the very late stages, and then they are being promised life. They are being told, you know, if you pay this, we can treat you, we can send you to India, we can do this for you and that for you. And I have heard many stories of families who sell their land and sell everything they have in the attempt to provide finances for their loved one to be cured. And then at the end of the day, because the disease is too progressed, the person ends up dying and leaving the family in the streets with nothing, completely impoverished. So this has been in my heart, but I just didn't know how to approach it, how to talk about it. And my mom, when it's like so many things tied together. But more than anything, I also want to share that the posts that I have shared about my mom's journey have really encouraged some people. Some people have reached out, they've asked questions, they have asked for information and advice and stuff. And so I know, because one thing is, terminal disease is something that affects all of us. It affects all of us. If you're listening to me, I'm sure you know somebody you love that was diagnosed with a terminal disease, and you know what that feels like. So welcome. Let's walk this journey together. And as we trust God for healing and for cure, how else can we prepare for if God doesn't answer the prayer very directly the way we are asking? Now, is that a sign of no faith? Should we have a plan B? If we are praying in faith and asking God for a miracle, should we have a plan B? Here is my very simple answer. My very simple answer is this. There is what we want, and we are asking God for His help. For that, we pray and we ask God, we bring our petition to God. And there is where God has spoken to your heart concerning a situation. He has told you, this is what I'm going to do. This is what is going to happen. Those are two different situations. There's nothing wrong with either of them. There's a situation where God has spoken to your heart and told you, I want to do A, B, C, D. And then things will happen that will look like it's completely impossible for God to do anything about that situation. In that situation, I would not have a plan B, because I know that I heard directly from God telling me that He is going to make a way. Situations like that. But there are other situations I've prayed for where God didn't tell me what He is going to do in the situation. But I have my desire and I have what I'm praying God to do. And that is the other side of things. When that is the situation, I prepare for the worst as I continue to trust God for the best. And let me tell you something. In such situations, I've never seen it stop God from doing what He wants to do. There are times I have prepared for the worst, and God has given me the best. And I had the better world of both worlds. But there are times when God didn't answer my prayer the very direct way that I was praying to Him. And in those times, I was glad that I had prepared my heart for His will. Because some things may not seem like God's will, but in due season, we may understand. In the moment, we may not understand, but in due season, we may understand. And some things we will never understand. Our goal is to continue surrendering to God and loving Him for who He is. So I just wanted to throw this video out there to encourage somebody and to tell you that I'm really preparing to talk about terminal diagnosis and hopefully give you some tips on how to deal with terminal diagnosis so that you help your loved ones the best way possible. At the same time, you prepare. At the same time, you don't get taken advantage of. So may the Lord bless you. And remember, goodness is infectious. So be good as much as you can in the light of God. And do it in the most pure way. Do it unto the Lord. and the Lord will bless you.